She's changing the fashion narrative in the country. After a decade working in the corporate world, Wandia Gichuru is today the founder and CEO of Vivo Activewear. Let's get to meet her. Thanks for talking to us, Wandia. I want to begin transition from the corporate world to running your own business. What informed that decision?
I was in my early 40s. I'd worked for a very long time, and what I really wanted was just to gain back control of my life, to have a bit more independence, a bit more freedom. So I wanted to change. At the time I was leaving, I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do. So I was exploring a number of different things. I trained to be a life coach, and that was an amazing experience, but then realized I didn't want to turn it into a profession. And that's when the idea of setting up Vivo came about.
And about Vivo, had you ever thought about fashion? Were you ever interested in fashion?
Not that I was conscious of, but a few months ago I was looking through a box of old documents, and I found a scrapbook that I had kept as a teenager, and it had tons of cutouts of fashion magazine outfits and things like that. So I think there was always something in the back of my mind that was drawn to fashion. I've always been a big consumer. I like buying a lot of clothes. I don't spend money on very expensive clothes, but I like having variety and mixing things up. And so I think from that angle, but I never imagined that I would be involved in a fashion business. So that was quite new.
So how did you conceive the idea, Vivo, the fact that you'd now set this up, get employees, get people to actually stitch for you? How did this all come about?
It's been a process. When we first started the company, it was really just around offering product, and we were very focused on product linked to an active lifestyle, hence the name Vivo Activewear. So we were looking for fitness wear, dance wear, stuff that you could wear in and out of the gym, and all of that was imported initially. And then about 3 years into the business, we realized that we weren't catering to enough of our market. We weren't able to give them the sizes and the body shapes that they needed, and so we started then going into local design, local manufacturing.
How are your designs received by the market? How are people reacting to the stretch and the bodycons?
The market has always received the product well. I think people love the fact that it's comfortable, that it sort of contours to your body shape. But we had that feedback. Your sizing range isn't wide enough. You're not catering for us, people who are a bit taller or a bit shorter or a bit bustier. So we've really tried to take that on board, and we're still working on it. But now when we design products, we do try and see how can we make this versatile enough to fit a broader range. We want anyone who walks into any of our stores to find something, either that fits their body or it suits their personality or their lifestyle.
And a lot of entrepreneurs also are always curious about the capital. How much did you have to put in? Had you saved? Did you need to borrow? How did you set all this up?
So luckily we had some savings. So the initial investment was about 7 million shillings. And that was really only enough to get us the first store, because our very first store was in a premium mall. There's goodwill payment, there's store fit outs. You have to buy the stock and the equipment and hire the people, pay rent deposits. So all of that adds up. Luckily, our growth since then has been funded from internally generated revenue. So we've bootstrapped it. We're very careful with our budget, but we haven't yet borrowed or brought in external investors.
Are you looking at the high-end clientele? Are you looking for the younger woman?
We feel we have three main target groups. One is the professional modern woman. So this could be anyone from their mid-20s up to their 50s even, who's young or young at heart and wants to look sophisticated but not necessarily have to sacrifice comfort in doing so. And really we're looking at a sort of middle income and up. So our products are not unaffordable. The second group is people who have unique body shapes for whatever reason, and struggle to find trendy, fashionable clothing that suits them. And so that's a group who actually, if you can cater to them, will be very loyal because they realize it's not that easy to find stuff. And the third group is the fitness enthusiasts. So people who are regular exercise, gym attenders, things like that, and will spend money on, a new set of yoga pants or.
Okay, and from your interaction with the Kenyan consumer, with the Nairobi consumer, what are they more into? Are they more into trends or functionality?
My sense is the younger generation is more trend conscious. I think a lot of our clientele are in their 30s, 40s, and they're more interested in what works for them. It's more of an individual choice. Like, yes, that might be trending, but if it doesn't suit me, I'm not going to wear it. So we do consider and we do look at what's trending, but we also say, let's not be entirely driven by that. Let's look at what it is our clientele are saying they want from us. So bodysuits might be trending, but do they really want ones that are going to expose their cleavage 100%, or do they want to be a little more modest? Jumpsuits might be trending, but is it going to be ones that are very figure hugging, or ones that are a little more comfortable and loose fitting? So, we definitely are more market driven than trend driven, if that makes sense. Yeah, we want to listen to what it is our clients are telling us they want, as opposed to looking at global fashion trends.
Who comes up with the designs?
So it's a combination. We have a design team who are constantly innovating and trying out new stuff. I get involved, our marketing team gets involved, our sales team will tell us what it is that people are asking for, and then we try and speak to our customers as well and hear from them what it is. And one of our approaches is really to try and keep testing. So rather than think we have all the answers, like try a new style, don't make a huge volume in terms of quantity, and see how the market responds to it. And that way, you have concrete data that tells you this is working.
Mm-hmm. So how many dresses would you say that you make a day?
Right now, about half of our stuff is made locally, and we're still importing. Out of the stuff that's made locally, we probably produce about 150 items a day. And that's a combination. It could be dresses, it could be waterfalls, it could be tops, skirts. It's a mixture. And we hope that number will keep growing because we want the brand to become more and more made locally.
The fusing of the imports and the locally manufactured designs, why this approach? We've been building up our capacity to produce in-house, so we've not yet reached the point where we could produce everything we need. So that's been the main concern. And like I said, there's some, when you're producing, you need to buy fabric in bulk and in volumes, and sometimes we don't want to invest in that unless it's something we know is going to work. So when we're trying out new things, sometimes it's easier to bring a small number from outside, and then if it works well, we'll replicate it and make it ourselves. So there are different reasons why you might choose to import, but one of the things we're also working towards is even the things we import we still want them to be our designs. Are people actually buying things off stores anymore?
Yes, yeah, I think, to me it's not either or. It's about how those two come together. So a lot of people will do their research and they'll look to see what's out there online. They may even identify a very specific dress, but they'll still want to come to a store to try it on. So it's how these two come together. I think it is very competitive and it keeps us on our toes, so I like that.
Tell us about family, juggling this, which must be extremely time consuming. With family, do you have children, and how do you stay in such great shape?
Thank you. I have two girls, 11 and 12, and they're wonderful. They're not at that baby stage where they need me to be with them 24/7. So that allows me to be able to spend quite a bit of time at work. Luckily, because it's a company that I run, I can adjust my schedule. So when there is an important thing at school that they want me to attend, as long as they give me notice, I'm teaching them to also be quite organized. I'm like, don't tell me on the morning but 2 days before, 3 days before, I can manage that. I have a good support group, friends, family, help at home that make it a lot easier. In terms of being in shape, I do a lot of yoga. That's my thing. I think everyone needs to find their thing. I've tried everything, I've tried kickboxing and aerobics and weights and all of that.
A lot of people that venture into starting their own businesses prefer to go online because the rent is extremely high. But you're in just about every leading mall in Nairobi and in Mombasa as well.
It's hard to build it entirely just from the online platform because, like I said, the two reinforce each other. So people still, especially with clothing, it's one thing if you're selling books or toys or whatever. Clothing, people want to touch, they want to feel, they want to try it on before they make a purchasing decision. So we had initially thought of trying to just go the online route, but realized that it was a challenge, not giving people the opportunity to try first. It is an investment. Getting into some of these malls is not cheap. Luckily we had some money that enabled us to go into the first one before any revenue was coming in. But it paid off because within 6 months of our very first store, we had generated enough profit to open a second one. And then the next year we opened another 2, and we've been able to fund our growth from the money that the company is generating.
Where do you source for these tailors? Who are these people?
A lot of on the production side, it's basically been referrals. So it's a small world. A lot of tailors know each other. They all live near each other, and so often, when we need a new position, we'll just say bring people and then obviously we will interview them. We will test their work, and hire them on a probational period. See what their work ethic is and stuff like that. For other more specialized positions, it's taken time to find people like experienced designers, pattern makers, merchandisers. Those are very specialist type roles and not that easy to find. But we've been lucky and we have started to. I think as the business has grown and as the company name and there's a brand behind it. People are more interested in coming to work.
Celebrity endorsements, why did you feel the need to go that route?
I think we feel our product can appeal across the board. So the more people we work with, the more we can show, yes, this age group, this religion, this lifestyle can still come to Vivo and find something. So it really helps. And I think, with so many people on social media, having faces that people recognize, wear your brand makes a big difference.
And are you a Vivo ambassador yourself? Are you wearing your designs? Do you wear your designs?
Not every day, but as much as possible. I think a lot of, I work in an environment where we don't have to be very formal. So, I can come in leggings and shorts and t-shirts and, mini skirts or whatever. So often I do wear Vivo, and definitely when I'm representing at something, where I'm there as the Vivo MD, I will always try and wear something that we made, yeah.
Changing attitudes in society where people prefer to buy, like I said before, imported products, just shifting that mind into accepting locally manufactured products. Are you seeing Vivo succeed in that end?
Whether all our clients care, I don't know. I think there's some people who will die hard, build Kenya, buy Kenya, all of that stuff. And there are a lot of other people that are like, it doesn't matter to me. As long as the quality is decent, the price is affordable, I like the style, it looks good, it feels good. You put them side by side, I don't really see a difference, I'll buy Kenyan. And then there may still be those few people out there who don't believe Kenyan-made products. But I think a dying breed. And over time, we'll see less and less of that. I don't think, and I say this all the time, I don't think the fact that it's made here gives you an excuse to not be as good as the imported. You've got to think global. We've got to be trying to offer a product that is as good for a similar price. Because, people's loyalty will shift if you start to drop the ball. So we don't take for granted that because we're a local brand, everyone's going to buy from us. We just don't think it should be a reason you don't buy from us. Yeah.
So this being your first business venture, challenges and lessons learned.
We're now 5.5 years into it. I think my challenge really is actually coming now. When it was a small business and when I was starting off and trying to do everything myself, I'm a bit of a control. I wanted control and I was able to do that. So I could make all the decisions and, now that the skills that I think helped at that stage are not the skills that are needed now. So I'm having to rewire myself. I need to now become more of a leader, a manager, somebody who can really, build a team and encourage and motivate and support them. It's not always that easy.
Your vision for Vivo, how far do you want to take this?
I wanted to become a leading African brand for women. I wanted to change the way that we see ourselves, the way that we, one of the things I feel that has been a struggle for a lot of women in Africa is that we, especially in East Africa, I think West Africans wear a lot more of their traditional outfits and stuff like that. We have dressed in hand-me-downs and in Asian imports that were never designed for us. They haven't been, they were never made by us. And so, when I see, and it's not just Vivo's just one part of that story, but when I see more and more local designers, local manufacturers really designing for us, it just makes me so happy. And so we want to be a big part of that shift. We want to create a lot of jobs. At the moment we have just over 50. In 5 years, I hope that number goes much higher to 500. And we want to be part of just, changing the story, changing the narrative.
So for someone in the corporate world, Wandia, who is struggling with their job, they're bored, they're impatient, they want to leave.
I think there are people who are very clear from quite a young age, like, this is what I want to do, and they don't veer from that. And I think, lucky you, I wasn't one of those. I'm one of those who has moved around a lot. I've tried a lot of different things. I think if you're really unhappy in what you're doing, you need to ask yourself some questions. And sometimes and I think especially for a younger generation, we have unrealistic expectations. Like, you imagine that you're going to get into a role and immediately be senior and be making decisions. And, that's going to take time. So I would say, if I was talking to somebody, I'd be trying to figure out sort of where are they in their path, and how realistic are they being. And then there are those who, yes, they have reached a point where they're just not being motivated, they're not finding, rewarding experiences. Too much of your day and time is spent at work. You do need to start thinking about making a shift. And that could be to another job. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can only be happy if you're working for yourself. I do know a lot of employed people who are incredibly satisfied with what they do. Right, so I want to show you what we do in this part of the office. And basically it is the design and sample making side of the business. So we have our sample makers here. So every time we come up with a new design, we first test it with a sample. That sample gets reviewed. Often we do 2 or 3 versions of it. This is also where the creative side of the business, so our designers, the pattern makers sit. And they are working on various aspects of design. Hello, what are you doing at the moment? Yeah, doing a marker. So basically laying out how the fabric should be cut before it's stitched. When Alo's finished doing his marker laying, he'll print it out on this plotter, and that's what we'll use to lay on top of the fabric, and you just cut right through the paper. So here I want to show you where we actually produce the clothing. So they work in clusters, and each tailor specializes on a particular machine, and then passes it on to the next, and so hopefully by the time it goes round, you have a finished item. Yeah, so most of what you see here is actually product that we've made in Kenya. You can always tell because it will say Vivo made in Kenya.
Okay.